Welcome to Lesson 12. Now we're going to play through the second third of the game. We are now back at I Love Maj, and we're getting ready to start the second 1/3 of the game. And before we continue with the game, I have brought up this photo of the middle game. Now remember, these lines were here for the begin game. Now these tiles are used up and we're into this section here, which is the second 1/3 of the tiles and the middle game. So now things are going to change up quite a bit as we start continuing through the middle game. And as previously, I will go over middle game strategies with you. So let's go ahead and get back to I Love Maj. Now, I also remembered that we do have full screen view if you want that experience. If you're playing on a tablet, probably going to not make a huge amount of difference, but I'm going to try it for our purpose here and see how it looks. Oh, it's nice. Very, very full view. I like that a lot. All right, so we ended off on the last lesson with looking at the potential of the singles and pairs, and also the third line down on the right side, the mixed suit ping pong configuration with dots in BAMs. So we are now ready to discard, and since I am going to hold the flower for a little bit longer, and we're going to talk about flowers in just a bit, I am going to discard the 4 crack, since we're going to be either keeping track of singles and pairs in dots in BAMs, or the line number 3 on the right side in dots and BAMs. I'm going to go ahead and discard 4 crack.
4 crack, 1 crack, so.
And we'll just keep hitting ignore until we have a tile that we have to make a decision on. All right, now we got a 8 in, and so we'll hold on to that for now because, again, it's a tile that we would need in the singles and pairs. And we're going to see when we run out of tiles to discard, we're going to have to make some hard decisions. All right, we have Dottie over here who has called a 2 crack and put up 3 jokers. Well, now we know where the jokers are. And how many jokers are there? 8. And Dottie's got 3 of the 8. Well, no wonder I'm not getting any. All right, well, we'll hit ignore on the red because I don't need it. And now I got a 2 crack, and since we're doing dots and BAMs, I can get rid. Oh, I can't get rid of it. Look at that. I was just getting ready to tell you about looking around the board before you discard. All right, well, that's a good thing because this is a perfect time to talk about joker exchanges. As you know and will remember, when you're in person, you do a hand-to-hand joker exchange. Well, when you're on this platform and you're playing the game on the computer, you can't have the bots hand you the tile. So the way it's done is you double-click on the joker,
swap,
and it'll swap out your 2 crack, the natural tile, for the joker. And yippee, I got a joker. All righty. All right, well, we are going to take a look at one more time what the singles and pairs with dots and BAMs look like. I'm going to move that out. We already have a flower, a 2, 4, 6, and a pair of 8s and dots, and a 4, 6, and a pair of 8 dots. What tiles are missing? You got it. We need 1 more flower for the pair of flowers, a 6 dot for the pair, and a single 2 BAM. We cannot use the joker, but it's very pretty and it's coming in beautifully. I'm going to move this up here so I don't accidentally discard it. Nonetheless, we have to make a decision. So I want to put the tiles back into the 2, 4, 6, 8. Ping pong for line 3 under 2, 4, 6, 8. And that is looking very pretty. I am going to go ahead, I'm going to hold the flower for just a little bit more. And when I get ready to discard it, I'll talk a little bit more about flower strategy. So at this point, I am going to make a decision. Even though the singles and pairs looks promising and we are only 3 tiles away from Mah Jongg, it is a concealed hand and no jokers can be used. Plus, we still have to be concerned about getting the flower and 6 dot for the pairs and the 2 bam for the single. Since the 2 suited hand, 2, 4, 6, 8, is an exposed hand and I can already call the 8 dot and the 8 bam without the help of jokers, my choice is to go for the easier hand at this time. I do, however, want to encourage you to consider singles and pairs up until the time you get jokers, and then you can make a decision. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the 4 bam since I have my 2, 4, 6, 8 secured, and we'll see what happens. All right, somebody else took a joker. That was Marjorie. And now I have the opportunity to call a 6 bam. Are we using 6 bams? We sure are. And take a look at the card. How many do we need in that grouping? We need a pung. Well, we have 2, and that makes 3. That makes our pung. So we're going to call it. Oh, perfect. Here we go. All right. So we're going to go ahead and, again, I'm going to keep the flower. I like to get flowers out. I'll mention this right now. I like to get them out middle of the second third, so the middle of this game to the end. And since we are at 53 tiles right here, 33 tiles left will be the end game and the next lesson. So if we don't Mahjong, or somebody else does it Mahjong first. So I am going to save it just for a little bit more, maybe another 10 tiles. And the reason I like to hold them for a while is if somebody else throws a flower and somebody calls it and puts up jokers with their flowers, I'd have the opportunity to do a joker exchange. It's just a little fun thing to do. Now I'm going to hold the pair for a little bit and get out the 6 dot instead. This is another good beginner strategy. And the reason we hold pairs, if we can, to no longer than the end of the second third or the middle game is for joker bait. And joker bait has been used, that term, for a long, long time. I'm not sure who coined the term, but I give them credit, and because it's a really cool thing. And what joker bait is when you have these 2 tiles and you discard toward, like I said, toward the end of the middle game, if somebody else were to call that tile and put it up with a joker, then you're left with 1 more to do a joker exchange. Now there are a lot of things that could affect this and whether or not you hold it until the end of the middle game. So if something comes up and I need to do that, I'll let you know, I promise. So I'm going to discard the 6 dot.
6 dot, 5 dot, 2 bam,
And I don't need that.
9 crack,
I don't need that.
5 dot, 7
And
dot.
you know, with Dottie's tiles exposed here, it's too early to tell what she's playing,
6
but
crack,
we will certainly look at that when there are more than 1 exposures up. All right, so look at that. How lucky am I? I didn't get any tiles dealt in, any jokers dealt in, but I get to do another joker exchange. So in person, I'd say, Dottie, may I have your joker, please? And you do that hand to hand. But in the computer world, I'm going to double click.
joker swap,
And yay, I got another joker. Now I think I could even put these where they belong. So I can call the 2 dot with the joker because that's a pung, and then I can call the 4 dot with the joker because that's a kong, and the 8 is a kong because I've got my 6 pung already up here. Very nice. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'll start with the flower first. Maybe not. I'll start with my pair. I don't know.
8 dot, 3 dot,
Well, nobody called it. Boo-hoo. So I can't do any joker bait.
north, 3 bam,
Alrighty, so now that the 8 dot went out, nobody called it, and we're at 41 tiles. Let's see how many 1 cracks are out. 1, 2. There's 3, 2 out. This is the third one. I can get it out. Now I'm not really too worried, even though Dottie here could be playing, with 1 cracks. It's just too early to know what he is doing. We could make an assessment by looking at the tiles on the table. Being that there are 2 1 cracks already out, chances he may not be playing a run with 1 cracks and 2 cracks, or 1, 2, and 3 in cracks, or 1 and 2 in cracks. There's many hands on that card. He could be playing with 1 and 2 cracks. So it could be that he's not ready, and that's why he hadn't been able to call the others. So maybe it's a good idea to get it out since the other ones went out early. So I'll do that.
1 crack, green.
You don't need the green.
2 dots.
All right. There we have another opportunity to call our 2 dots as a pung. Take a look at the card. It is a pung, that first grouping. So I'm going to call the pung. And now I can discard the 8 or the flower. I might as well go ahead and discard the flower. Good chance somebody will call it. There are none out. Let's see what happens.
Flower, call.
There we go. Now, if I waited, I could have. Somebody else might have thrown the flower and I would have been able to do that joker exchange I explained. But my hand is coming in nicely and I got to get rid of tiles. So I don't want to hold on to it any longer than the end of this middle part of the game.
Joker drop, 8 bam.
Somebody else took it. There we go. I get to call the Kong for that 8 bam for a Kong. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call it. All right, now I want you to look at what we've got going on. I also want to mention that there is a change button here. When you make a call, on the current call, not a previous, it's going to have the change button above it because you can add or take away from an exposure up until the time you discard. So if I accidentally put up too many, let's say I only needed a pung and I put up a Kong, I can hit change and I can make that change here. That's a really great feature. Now, I am going to discard the 8 dot, and when I do, I am going to be ready for Mahjong. I'm going to be set to Mahjong. And I grew up using the word on call. I'm on call for Mahjong. You could refer to it any way you'd like. It doesn't really matter at all. But I also want you to look and see that I have no jokers up here. If I were to pull in another 4 dot, it would give me Mahjong. If I had no jokers, it would have given me a jokerless win. And we haven't spoken about how the values work, but that is going to be coming up in a later lesson. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and discard the 8 dot.
8 dot, call, 4 crack.
And somebody called that 8 dot. Now, interestingly enough, earlier I had mentioned to you that I hold the pairs as long as I can, but not later than the end of the middle game. Had I held it a little longer, those pairs, I would have had another opportunity for that joker bait that we talked about. So that's crazy. I could have had it with the flower and I could have had it with the 8 dot. But you can't predict what's going to happen. But in any event, we need either a joker or a 4 dot to Mahjong.
Joker drop, so 1 dot.
And we have a 2 dot, and the 2 dot is not needed. Now, let's take a look at the hand over here. Let me move my Marjorie's hand. And he's got 4 flowers and 8. So let's take a look at what hands have 4 flowers and 8s. All right, well, I see 1 in 2, 4, 6, 8, the very first line. It could also be like numbers with 8s. And if it is like numbers with 8s, that would be line number 1. That would be a challenge because we've got 4 8 bams. Well, okay, it could also be line number, it cannot be line number 4 under addition hands because that hand only takes 2 flowers. All right, what else could it be? It could be, I think that's all. I would say line number 1 under 2, 4, 6, 8 or line number 1 under any like numbers. Okay, so we want to keep our eye out on that, on those two, which means that he may need the 2 dot, but I've got 3. So I'm going to say that maybe, I don't know if he's playing like numbers or 2, 4, 6, 8. But he's in a bad position either way, unless he has a ton of a ton of jokers.
2 dot, 5 dot,
Oh, I guess Marjorie didn't need it.
south, 4 bam,
Okay, so we are now at 32 tiles, and we went 1 under the 33. And in the next lesson, we're going to be going into the end game, and hopefully somebody's going to mahjong. It would be great if it was me. But in any event, we are going to now conclude this lesson, and I am going to see you for the end game in lesson 13 in just a little bit.